welcome to our podcast, Those Twins Who Knit. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Rachel.
And we just use this space to talk about all things knitting. So the things that we've finished since our last episode, the things that are currently on our needles, upcoming plans. This episode is very acquisition heavy, so we have quite a few things to talk about there.
And a little bit of sewing.
Yeah,
Tiny bit.
Tiny bit. We also, at the end of this episode, are going to add in some footage that we were able to get from a knitting retreat that we recently went on. So stick around for the end. We're going to add a little bit there and talk about that experience. We were able to sit down with Andrea from the Knitting PT and get her perspective a little bit, as well as Tammy, the sponsor of the event and the owner of Unwind. So we had a great time.
And if you're a returning viewer and saw our last episode, it has been about 3 weeks. So we've gotten some stuff done if you have been with us. And last time we talked about doing a knit and chat, and we're still hoping to do that, but we just had enough stuff to talk about for a podcast episode that we thought we'd go ahead and do that. And we're hoping to do a knit and chat in the next week or so if that's something that interests you.
Yeah. Thank you for everyone who submitted questions. If anything comes up during this episode that you have a question about, feel free to add that in the comments and we will add that to the list. I don't know that we're gonna have time to talk about everything, but we got some really good questions, so we're excited to sit down and work on that. Like Rachel said, we had enough project updates that we were like, ooh, we should probably catch everyone up on those real quick too.
Do you want to start with what you're wearing?
Yeah. This is the Judy sweater by Gregoria Fibers, and I used Woolstok worsted by Blue Sky Fibers in this like storm, I think it was called Storm Gray or Storm Cloud Gray, something like that. So yeah, it's just like a fun textured knit. It's like a 12 round repeat, so it has these like little lace eyelets in between these like blocks of what almost looks like garter, but it is broken up by like a purl stitch in the middle. It did turn out pretty oversized, as you can see. It definitely grew a lot in blocking. The sleeves are a little longer than I thought they were going to be, so I've just cuffed them. Honestly, since it's just like a pretty oversized sweater, I'm okay with the sleeves being a little long, but I did try it on like a million times as I was knitting these to make sure that I thought the sleeves were going to be perfect, and then it grew more than I had expected during blocking. So I think what I need to do is I need to start measuring my gauge swatch before and after I block it, because I'm good about doing gauge swatches, and I did it for this one, and I made sure that I had my stitch gauge, but I didn't really keep in mind how much it grew like lengthwise as I was knitting.
Well, what I think it might be, because I've had similar stuff, is maybe block the body before you do the sleeves, because I bet some of the length is coming from where the body grows.
From where the shoulder hits, like
yes,
right here.
For drop shoulder construction at least.
Yeah.
That would be my thought.
Yeah, I think that was probably a big factor. And also the like lace motif. Well, it's not really a lace motif, but there's like a lace row of eyelets here, and I think that flattened out quite a bit in blocking too. Like it was a little bunchier pre-blocking, but
I think the oversized sleeves work well with the design.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it. Like sometimes that sort of thing bothers me and I'll take it back, but with this one it's kind of just like a really oversized, cozy, lived-in sweater vibe, so I'm okay with it. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. And I did have a whole extra skein of this left, which is 150 grams. And I also have a skein of that same yarn in like a white natural colorway. So I need to figure out what to do with like 300 grams of 2 different color yarn. I'm kind of thinking maybe I can make like a color work hat or something with it. I don't think that would use all the yarn, but at least it would use like a little bit.
Yeah, some of it.
Some of it. So if anyone has any good pattern ideas for that, it's not like super high on my priority list, but eventually I'm gonna want to get that out of my stash. So yeah.
Well, I am wearing my Nord pullover by Hanne Rimmen. I feel like this took me forever and then some, but it is very oversized, so I kind of have to give myself it was a lot of stitches. And I knit it with the Fiber Cumbria, their fingering base, and then Isager Mohair in the color beige. And then the black is the Knitting for Olive Merino and Soft Silk Mohair. I feel like I've talked about this a lot because it's been at least 3 episodes. You've probably heard about this. So I'm just happy to have it done and off the needles. I did make 2 modifications. The first is that the bottom ribbing I shortened to be about half the recommended. So the pattern says to do like 14 centimeters of twisted rib at the bottom. And I did not do that. I cut it in half. Or I did do that and then I frogged it because I didn't like it at any rate. And then the collar has this like, I'll have to show a picture of it from Ravelry or something. It's got this kind of finishing seam across before you start the twisted rib. And I just did not feel like for the amount of work it took that I enjoyed that part of the design enough. So I just went ahead right into the twisted ribbing on the collar. Other than that, everything is exactly the same and I'm super happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, that's one that was on my like make 9 board, so I do want to make that eventually.
Yeah, it was on mine too, so I was very proud. I was like, ooh, I'm 2 for 2 so far. But this is the only finished object that I have this week, so.
Okay, I have one other finished object other than what I'm wearing, so I'll pull that out real quick. And that is my Haraboji cardigan.
It's beautiful.
So yeah, I'll hold it up so you can see the texture. It's pretty oversized, which I knew it would be going into it. This is so much work to knit. Like, I'm pretty happy with it. It's definitely different than any other cardigan that I have in my wardrobe, just because it's so oversized and it's also just dense. Like, it's a dense yarn and a dense fabric, so I feel like it's gonna have to be fairly cold for me to want to wear it, but I do like the way it fits. I kind of went into it thinking that it probably wouldn't fit and was hoping I would be like pleasantly surprised. So I'm on the like pleasantly surprised side of things. The one thing that I kind of wish I'd done different now that I've finished the pattern is the buttonholes. Let me see if I can get it to like focus on just the buttonholes where you can see it. The pattern recommends doing like a knit 2 together with a yarn over, and I feel like I'm getting like some of the strings around that like hole are like coming loose. I don't know how to describe it. It just doesn't look like a very professionally finished buttonhole. It's just looking a little weird. And these buttons, I did the same style of button as the pattern designer Aegyo knits, where it's like this tube shape. What are these called?
They remind me of little boats, actually.
Yeah, like little boats. But it is kind of difficult to like slip them into the buttonholes. I think that'll get easier over time, but I kind of wish that I had done like where you like cast off 2 stitches and then on the next row you cast on 2 stitches. I think that would have been a little bit cleaner. But overall, I am really happy with it. I did use Fivel by Rauma Garn, which is the recommended yarn. And we'll put a picture up on the side of what it looks like with me wearing it. But it's definitely just like a oversized, cozy winter cardigan. I did talk about this in the last episode a little bit, but in case anyone's new or watching for the first time or missed that or anything, I did want to give a warning that I wish I'd known about, and that is that this like lattice style cable is knit, like the cables are knit on every single row, which isn't a problem so much when you're doing the sleeves because you're working in the round, but then when you get to the body, it means that when you're knitting flat, you're also doing cables on the purl side, which I just don't see very often, and it just kind of made me use a different part of my brain than what I typically use while knitting, which isn't a bad thing. It was just like a challenge that I didn't really realize I was taking on until I got into this project. It wasn't hard though. It was like easy to figure out. It just took a few rows of practice and flipping my yarn a lot to make sure that I knew what I was doing and that I was working on the right side. So also I found the ribbing very difficult to knit. Not because, like, 2x2 ribbing is conceptually easy, but this yarn, I think is listed as a worsted. I would almost argue it's an Aran. It's like a pretty dense worsted. And so the tiny recommended needles for the ribbing just made it feel like I was like really tugging on the yarn, and it was just it makes for a really nice dense ribbing, which I really like, and I think the look of it is absolutely beautiful, but it hurt my hands to work on. It was a lot easier to use this yarn on the like larger needle gauge. So I would still do it again. It was worth it, but it took me a lot longer to do the ribbing than I thought it was going to take, just because I could only do a couple of rows at a time before I had to like put it down and work on something else, or else my hands would have really started like to cramp and hurt, and I didn't want to deal with that. So just something to keep in mind, but it is beautiful. It's a beautiful pattern.
I think it's really pretty.
Yeah.
I think it fits you better than you thought it was going to fit.
Yes, yeah. And even the first time I tried it on, I texted you. I was like, I don't know.
You weren't sold yet.
I wasn't sold on. I had to like try it on a couple of times and figure out like how to style it before I'm like, okay.
I like it.
Yeah.
It has really grown on me.
Yeah, it's grown on me too. I'm glad I made it, just because like, yeah, I was so intrigued by the construction, and it was so interesting to just see how it knit up. And it was fun to knit just because it was so different than like any other sweater or cardigan that I've worked on recently. But yeah, it was just, I had to take a minute to process it and be like, okay,
this is what we're doing.
This is what we're doing. But yeah, that's my only other finished object this time around.
Should we start on works in progress?
Yeah, what are you working on?
I'll talk about the one that I have in my hands right now. I just cast it on very recently. I've got another baby shower coming up. I've waited even longer, so this one's coming up very close. I'm going to be like powering through this. Like, I am highly considering taking this to work for when I'm in meetings and stuff. Because I'm like, oh no, I'm down to the wire. I can do it, I think. But so anyway, I have another friend who is having a baby, and she's having a girl. The other friend from last week or last podcast, she was having a boy, and both of them have really embraced the like pinks and blues, the very, I don't know, stereotypical gender colors. That's okay. That's what they like. So her theme is very much pink. I am not so much a pink fan, not against it, but I don't find a lot of pinks that I'm super drawn to, which I think is why I procrastinated working on this, because I just didn't find a yarn that I had fallen in love with yet. And then yesterday, my husband and I went out to Lawrence, Kansas, so I was able to visit the yarn barn. It had been a while since I'd been out there, and they had this Rowan tweed yarn. I have a full skein somewhere. We've got a lot of acquisitions. So I found this yarn, and I just thought the tweed was really fun and different. It's kind of a corally pink, but I just really liked it, and I thought, okay, this will inspire me to want to get this on the needles because it needs to get done. And I'm using a modified version of the same pattern I just did. So I was using PetiteKnit's Micah's Raglan for my last baby knit. And so for this one, I wanted it to be more of a plain stockinette raglan without the cable increases. But I took the same measurements and everything. I'm really following a lot of her pattern and just kind of trying to modify it so that it's a very simple raglan, as you can probably see. I've got paper clips for my stitch markers right now, but they work really well, so that's okay. So yeah, that's what I'm working on now. That's probably what I'll be working on till I get it done, because it is coming up super fast, even though I have other whips that I am very excited to be going back to soon. So that's my first work in progress. Oh, actually, I don't even think I'll be able to show this next time because the shower is so close that I'll probably be giving it away before we sit down and record again.
I feel like you're a better gift knitter than I.
Well, I also think that just because I am a teacher and around a lot of, I don't know, nurturing souls, I have a lot of friends who are parents or newly to be parents, and yeah, I am a little tired of gift knitting because it's not my favorite, but I love the people, so I'm going to do it.
Well, I feel like too, once you
start,
once
it's
you
expected,
yeah, like once you get a sweater for one coworker, you're like, okay, I have to keep this up, and I've not started that with my my job.
The Micah's Raglan I did last time was for a teacher friend, and then this one is for a teacher friend, and then I had another friend just tell me that she's pregnant again, and we met through teaching. She's not a teacher anymore, but if my friends can stop having babies this year, that would be really great.
That would be great. Not because we don't love them.
Yes.
We don't want to keep knitting.
Yes. 2025. That would be another one. I've already got 3 that I have to do this year, so and who knows what will come up.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my first work in progress.
Okay,
I've got 2 more.
Well, I'm also working on a raglan, but it is a raglan for me instead of for a small baby.
Yes.
I'll hold it up so you can see the yarn. This is the Fortune sweater by PetiteKnit, and I am using the Touch Me Mohair by We Are Knitters, which was gifted or sent to me. I have a full skein here real quick so I can read the content, because it is a little different than most mohairs. Like, I feel like most mohairs that I see are, you know, like 70% mohair, 30% silk, or maybe like 75-25, some sort of variation of that. But this one is actually 54% baby alpaca, 24% mulberry silk, and then 22% super kid mohair. So I feel like it's even fuzzier than most mohairs. Like, all mohairs are gonna be fuzzy and have a halo, but this one's like even more so. So I am holding it double. And then if you're familiar with the Fortune sweater pattern, you know it has like a fun little like flower lace motif that repeats throughout, and I'm omitting that. I'm just using the pattern for the recommended like stitch counts and lengths and things like that, but I'm not using it for that. I'm just knitting it solid. So it's going really fast. I did try it on the other day and I'm really happy with how it's going so far. Although I did just finish the sleeve, and I'm like, maybe I should block it before I finish the other sleeve so I don't run into the length issue.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. So I'll probably, you know, I'm going to keep working on this during this episode, like as we're knitting today, but I may pause this for a minute and just block this sleeve and make sure that I'm happy with it before I finish this one.
Although I think if you were to have a problem, having too long of sleeves is a better problem to have than too short of sleeves.
I'd rather have to rip something out, I think, than like go back and add.
Or fold it up.
I don't know. It's probably the same amount of work either
I don't
way,
mind cuffing.
So, yeah. I've got like a bunch of ends that I need to sew in. But the yarn too, actually, how many grams is it? I think it's 50 grams. Which is kind of good. It's kind of nice actually, because I don't have as many ends to sew in as I think I normally would. I think I just have this like one at the start, and then I had to start a new ball like down here ish. So that's kind of nice. I do love when yarn comes in like 50 or 150 gram skeins or things like that if I'm working with like one solid color, just because I don't like having to sew in a million ends. So that was kind of nice. The Haraboji cardigan that I just talked about, it only came in, I think it was 50 gram skeins, but I had to use like 14 or something crazy like that. There were so many ends to sew in.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Which is not that big a deal. Like, I'll do it, but it's kind of nice when I don't have to.
This had a lot of ends to weave in. I guess I didn't really state that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like that big of a factor. It's not gonna deter me from doing something. It's just like when you don't have so many to sew in, it's kind of like, oh, this is nice.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's my first whip. Did you have a second one?
Yes, I do. I have 2 actually, although one we've seen before and it's not super different than last time. Let me see if I can grab this. So I got to cast on my Auer pullover that I talked about making last time, and I am using the PetiteKnit color that has been discontinued recently of Into the Woods by Sandnes Garn Sunday. And then I'm holding it with Isager Mohair in the color 68. It looks very green to me, but I do think on camera it picks up a little bit of the brown. It's kind of like a dark olivey color. And the Auer Pullover by Sari Nordlund is kind of a reverse Raglan almost. It's like a bottom up.
It's a bottom up.
Yeah, it's a bottom up construction. So you're going to do the decreases instead of increases as you work. And this is how far I am. It kind of just looks like a big rectangle right now. But I'm really liking how the yarns are working together. I'm liking that it's kind of mindless right now, so it's been a very easy card knit.
They're kind of like heathered almost because they are slightly different, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, here I'll show what the fabric is working up to look like. Yeah, it's got definitely some heathering to it because they're not a perfect match. Although I think for how specific the colors are, I don't know that I could have done better. I thought that this was a really great pairing, so I'm very excited about it. This is my first time working with the, oh my gosh, I said Isager, but I think it's Isager.
I think it's Isager.
Isager? Oh my gosh, I don't know. This is my first time working with this yarn. It is so incredibly soft. I love this mohair. I don't think I'll give up other mohairs. I think that I'll just kind of add this to the rotation, but I really like it. The only thing is that I do think this is a very fall color, and I'm kind of starting to get excited about some spring knits. So I'm debating if I'm gonna make myself power through to finish it, or I might cast some new stuff on here soon too. But right now it's just really enjoyable because it's just stocking it in the round. I don't have to think about it at all. So that's why I think I've gotten a lot of progress on this, I feel like, for what I've gotten to do so far.
Yeah.
So that's my second work in progress. I have one more.
Okay, I have one more whip right now. This is not related, but like you mentioned, you're excited for spring knits. It's not that I'm not excited for spring knits, but I'm like kind of sad that people are getting away from like heavy winter knits because that's what I love to make the most. So I'm kind of bummed that we're like moving into that new season right now. But my other whip is just a pair of socks. I'm not using a pattern. It's just one row is all knit, the next row is a 1x1 rib. So it's like a broken rib sock that I'm doing. And I am doing it on size US 1 needles with 72 stitches around. So it's a little bit denser than what I make a lot of my socks, but I wanted something that was kind of nice and thick and warm. And also since it was, since this yarn is like all speckly, I kind of wanted it to be a little more sprinkled throughout, and I thought it would give like a tighter look for the sprinkles if I did it at a tighter gauge. So I'll hold it up so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. The yarn, the main yarn is the Sprinkled Donut Socks by Coast to Coast in the classic sock base, which you got for like New Year's, I think.
Yes.
Although
we opened it around Christmas.
Yeah, that's okay. And then I'm holding it together with this just little skein of leftover Emma's yarn. I had this yarn from, maybe like 2 years ago. I think I made my mom a pair of socks out of this purple color. So I'm holding it as just the little like tip right here, just to have a little fun accent. So
they pair together so well.
I know, I think they look perfect together. Here, I've got the like skein of, it's caked up, so it's kind of harder to see, but yeah, they look so good together. So this has been kind of my mindless little, if I need to work on something for like 2 minutes, I'll pull this out real quick and just work on that. So it's nothing complicated. I have finished the first sock, and then, oh goodness, it's like all tangled, but the other sock I've just barely done the cuff and started maybe 2 or 3 rounds of the like foot part. So I haven't made it too far on this one, but she'll get there.
I love it. Mine is also a pair of socks, which we saw last time, and I did not make a significant amount of progress, but that's okay. This is Melitta's socks by
I think so.
Paula Strick. I'll put it on the screen if that's not 100% accurate. I'm almost done. I'm at the toe and I should have cast off last night and I just didn't. I started on the baby sweater instead, but I'm super close to finishing one of these. It is entirely twisted rib and it's taking forever. I don't think I will ever do it again. Every time I try the pattern on, because I try socks on as I go to make sure that the length is correct, I'm super happy with the way it looks. I'm super happy with how it's fitting, but I am not enjoying all the twisted ribs.
The twisted ribs a lot.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that.
As you're holding it up, I need to go back and look at my pattern because I've made these socks too, and I think I took the twisted rib all the way down to the toe.
I don't think you did. I think I looked at yours.
Did I not? Why did I think I did that?
I'm gonna put her photo on screen and we'll see who's right. I'm pretty
Why
sure.
did I think I did that?
I don't know, but I think I looked at your Instagram when I was deciding, because I was like, what did Jessica do?
Maybe I did.
She's talking about like, see how I'm at the toe here? Do you switch to stockinette or do you take the twisted rib all the way? And actually, I don't even think I read the pattern to see what the pattern does. I really think I looked at your example, so
You're probably right.
now we're gonna have to go back and find out.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, I'm super close to being done with one. I'll do the other. It does have a fleagle heel, this is my first time doing a fleagle heel, and I did really like that construction. I don't think I'll give up my heel flap and gusset, but it's fun to try new things. So yeah, that's my last work in progress. So next up we have yarn acquisitions, of which there are many today.
Many.
So we'll try to go through them pretty fast, but talk about if we have any projects in mind for them, and some things might just go into stash. We will see.
Yeah. I'll start with one. Speaking of heavy winter knits that I'm not ready to give up, I did buy the Isager Eco Soft and their silk mohair to make the cloud sweater by PetiteKnit. I used the same yarn combination when I made the Levitate wrap by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and it is just the coziest cardigan. It's so soft. It feels like a teddy bear. So when she came out with the cloud sweater, I was like, oh, I know I love this yarn combo. So it's been on my list for a minute. I'm kind of scared that it's getting too warm to wear it, so maybe, I don't know. I'm not good about letting things like sit in my stash. Like if I buy something, I want to make with it, so it might be something that I make soon, but then it just sits in my closet waiting to be warm for a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll try to hold on to it and wear it or make it for like fall next year. But I'm really excited to work with this yarn, so I kind of want to cast it on soon. But yeah, it's just going to be a basic beige sweater.
How novel.
How novel.
Yeah, I also bought some beige yarn. And as I was getting stuff ready for today, I was like, oh wow, I just bought the same stuff again.
Yeah, it's like eerily similar to your Nord Pullover.
Yes. But this is Good Wool by Pearl Soho. I bought it because they were running a special on it, and I've always wanted to pick some of this up, partially because I've heard a lot of people really sing praises about it, and partially because I think with a mohair this would be really great for the Ingrid sweater by PetiteKnit. So while it was on a discounted price, I went ahead and picked some up, and I think the price even without the discount on this yarn is pretty good. So
what is it now, just out of curiosity?
I think I paid like maybe $15 a skein, maybe not even that. And the yardage for it is 383 yards. And this is probably a heavy sport to a light DK yarn, so that's pretty good, I feel like.
Yeah. That's still a really good price. I went through a phase a couple years ago where I knit a lot with Goodwill because it was such a good price, and I feel like I could have made a sweater for like less than $50. I think it was like $9 or $10 a skein, so that's still really good. But I was just curious if it was like the same or if they raised it.
No, I think they have raised it, but even still, I've heard a lot of people really like this yarn. I am kind of the opposite. I'm thinking I might not get this cast on for a little bit just because I am getting excited for some spring knits, and I've got some yarn that I think would be more appropriate for spring coming up. But while it was on sale, I just couldn't really resist it, so I picked that up.
Yeah. I'm gonna talk about my coast to coast yarn next. I don't have plans for all of it, but I did get 6 skeins that I'm planning on just using for socks. So usually when I buy yarn, I'm really particular about like wanting to have a pattern in mind so I can make sure I have the right yardage and that I'm excited about the project and things like that. Sock yarn is like my one exception. I'm like, I know eventually I will get around to making socks, and I am just constantly pinning sock patterns on Ravelry, and since they all have approximately the same yardage, I'm not too stressed. So I don't really have patterns for these, but I did buy quite a few skeins from the Coast to Coast Coffee House Fantasy Collection. Sadly, yours hasn't shipped.
I did too, but mine hasn't shipped yet. It's okay. I will admire Jessica's in the meantime.
Yeah, I felt bad bringing it. I was like, oh no.
No, I wanted to see it. I was like, I want to know what I'm going to get. Because we didn't buy the exact same order, but we do have quite a bit of overlap in the colors that we ordered.
Yeah. So the first one that I got is Thimblet, and it is, oh goodness, sorry, sometimes it takes us a second to focus. It's just this like variegated, kind of beige, kind of orange colorway. And then I also got Rubios, which I think is maybe a type of tea. I'm not really familiar with the name, but I kind of want to make like just a pair of socks with this like orange color, just solid, and then with whatever I have left over, I think it would be cute to do like little stripes with the Thimblet, maybe like another totally rad ribbed socks or like the summer camp socks or things like that. We'll see, but that's kind of my tentative working plan, is to get a solid pair of socks with this and then like combine them. And then I also got Pigeon Milk, which is probably the most simple of all of the ones that I got, but I think it's my favorite one.
I really love that color.
Yeah, it's just such a pretty, like creamy, warm beige color. And I kind of want to do a pair of ruffled socks, so maybe like the Midnight Dancer socks by Sari Nordlund, or I know PetiteKnit has like a pair of little ruffly socks. So I thought that could be cute with this. And then I also got Galette, which is just this beautiful like spring pink kind of colorway. It's not like overly pink, it's like a kind of a neutrally pink. And then I also got Light Roast, which is kind of like a medium dark brown. These are all tonals, so there's like a little bit of color variation, but not too much, which is kind of my favorite type of sock yarn. And then last for socks, I also got the What in the Eight Hells is Coffee. I don't know what that reference is from. I feel like when she posted it on Instagram, she was like, if you know, you know, but I don't know.
You know, but I like it.
I don't know. It's cute though. And you can see it's just like kind of a darker color. Like they're both deep browns, but this one's a little bit darker and this one's a little bit lighter. So I haven't quite figured out what I want to do with these guys, but I feel like since they are so dark, like maybe some like deeper cables, you know, like bigger cables or something could be really cute with them for the fall. And then the last thing that I got from the Coast to Coast order is the 3 skeins of this Cuppa color, and I got this in the natural worsted base. So it's a little bit different since it doesn't have like super wash like the sock yarn. I feel like the colors may be a little bit more muted on this one, but you can still kind of see where it's got some like tonal variegation. It's like mostly beige with a little bit of pink throughout. And I kind of want to use this to make the Augustine's number 30 shawl. So I'll put a picture off to the side. This is a shawl that was on my Make 9 board, so I've been wanting to make it for a long time. Since it is getting warmer, once again, I don't know that it's super weather appropriate, but I wanted to be sure to get this in the pre-order because I think a shawl like that in an indie dyed yarn would just be absolutely beautiful. And I know I like shawl knitting, I just never wear shawls, but I feel like this color would be very wearable and it matches a coat that I have very well. Or at least I think it does. I should hold it up and make sure. But
Yeah.
when I ordered it, I was like, I'm pretty sure this would match a coat that I have, so I could wear those together, which would be fun. Oh, so
They're
that's
so
my first
beautiful.
cast order. I'm very excited about it.
Do you want to talk about the other sock yarn that we have?
Yeah.
Except for you were the one that ordered this.
Yeah.
So you should talk about it still.
I ordered this yarn, which is the In My Chiefs Era by Sorella Yarns. The day of the Super Bowl, she did a pre-order for this colorway, and so of course I was like all hyped up about the Chiefs being in the Super Bowl.
And this was before they won too.
Yeah, so you know we were committed to our team. I had to order it. I will say it's so cute, and I think I'm gonna save it for like football season. Like I think, is it September when the first game is? I'm gonna save it for then and cast it on then. I don't think this is Chiefs red, to be honest. When it came
a little
in,
light, it's not as true. It's kind of a poppy red versus like a true like red.
Yeah, I think it'll still be really cute and fun to knit on during the Chiefs game, and the spirit is still there. But it's not Chiefs red, and I was a little bummed when it came in. And also, this yellow is just a little more. Like, this yellow is almost too orange for the Chiefs, and the red is not quite red enough.
If you're new, we live in Kansas City, and we are like diehard Chiefs fans and have been forever. So that's why we're being so
We're
like,
probably more
is it
nitpicky.
100% accurate? Like,
No. But it's still cute, and it will still be very fun to knit on during the games. I kind of want to do something stripy. But I'll put a picture up on the screen of what I'm thinking, but I kind of want to do something that's like starting with the red and then do like a stripe of white, a stripe of yellow, a stripe of white, and then do the rest of the sock red.
so you ordered this. I didn't know it was coming. So
Yeah, I've had time to
you've had time to
project
process.
plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that Jessica got it for me because that was really nice.
Yeah. And we usually watch the games together, so I think it'll
Yeah.
be fun. We can have a little project to like work on
Yeah,
together.
a little mini knit along.
Yeah. While we watch the games this fall. So
yeah, thank you for picking that up.
yeah.
And for Sorella, just knowing
Yes.
it was great.
They picked the right team. I think they only did the pre-order for the Chiefs team. And we appreciate that. They knew the 49ers were not going to win this time around, so.
Sorry, 49ers fans.
But also.
I've got one more acquisition to talk about.
Okay, I've got a couple more.
We weren't kidding when we said this was acquisition heavy. Oh no, I've got two. Just kidding. There's so many. So we mentioned that we went to the Unwind knitting retreat, the Caring for Your Make Your Body and Soul retreat last weekend, and they had a Moondrake pop-up store. Rochelle was there as well, so it was really fun to see her and get to talk to her and see so many beautiful yarns. So I picked up a few skeins from that. One of them is this Suri cloud lace. It's baby Suri alpaca and silk in the color ivory. And if it looks familiar, it's because I've used it before, but I held it with a Cormo Sport so that you got a lot of fluffy still, but this is going to be held double. And I think I'm going to do a Cumulus blouse by PetiteKnit with this. I just think it would be extra fluffy compared to mohair. The Suri alpaca would give a little extra fluff, but it would still be really light for spring. And maybe I've been influenced because I know Marlene knits and somebody else is helping host. They're doing a Cumulus knit along. I might be too late in joining them, but I think I've been influenced seeing so many people casting this project on that I kind of want to get this on the needles soon. I just think it'll be a really nice spring light project.
Yeah.
So that's another acquisition.
I think our next one we both have, it's the same, so we can talk about that together. At that same pop-up shop, we both got a couple of skeins of this sport weight yarn. This is a 100% superwash merino sport weight, and so I think we both got 2 skeins, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna gauge swatch and see if it will work for an Oslo hat. I'm hoping so. If not, we will figure some other stuff out.
Yeah. I originally bought this thinking that I wanted to do an Oslo hat the same, but I've been searching through Pinterest and I think I'm actually going to use it to do 2 separate projects. I have 2 skeins, so I've got enough to do a pair of socks. So I'll put a little picture here of a pair of red socks that I just think is really cute. It's not like a hand-knit pair of socks, but I think I could easily achieve the same look with this particular yarn. And then I've been seeing a lot of red little Sophie shawls or little red
or scarves,
like those mini shawl scarf things. I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of them and I just think they're really cute. So I think I might do that too, like a Sophie shawl and a pair of socks.
That would also be very cute.
Yeah. Not 100% sure, but it was kind of funny when we were buying this yarn. The colorway is called Carrot, but both of us were like, we're pretty sure this is red.
But I had several people say I like that orange.
Yeah. So it's like a very red orange.
I see red.
I see more red than orange. But yeah, some people did call it orange, and I think...
Well, the color name is Carrot.
Yeah, so Rochelle thought it was orange.
I like it.
Yeah. We'll hold it up. I don't see orange. I see red. If it'll focus. Well, you can kind of see the color. Let us know what you think. But here, let me show you 2 compared to... Do you see what we mean? Like, this one's more red than... Like, I think this is almost more of like a Chief's red.
Yeah, I think so too.
Than this. And this is like a poppy red.
Yes.
Yeah. At that same pop-up shop, I also had to get this Fua Fua. It is 70% brushed cashmere and 30% superwash merino. It says it's a fingering weight, but it's so fluffy that I think I can probably use it as more of like a sport or a DK weight. I haven't gauge swatched with it, so I need to do that in order to fully confirm that. But I think what I'm gonna do is I think I want to make a what is it called? What? Moral. I knew it started with an M. Well, I think I'm gonna make a Moral sweater by Fiber Tales.
It took a minute to remember that name.
It did. It took a hot minute to remember that name. Like I said, I haven't gauge swatched for it, so I don't know 100%, but I think she uses a really fluffy sport weight yarn as well, so I think this would be pretty similar. If not, like if that doesn't work, if I'm not able to achieve gauge, I still think it would be a beautiful, just like fluffy raglan to throw on this fall. I have also seen on Pinterest, someone styled like a brown, really simple cardigan with some cute gingham shorts, and I think I could possibly sew like a pair of gingham shorts or pants if I made like a really simple just cardigan out of this. So I have a lot of ideas for it. I know it'll get some use. I just need to wind it up and start swatching so I kind of know which direction I need to take it in, but it is so soft. Like the cashmere in this just makes it...
It's beautiful.
Unbelievably soft. So, and someone at the pop-up was using this to do like a color work raglan, and it looked beautiful in the color work too. I liked this brown color so much. I was like, I want to keep it solid and together, but that was kind of a fun idea too. And then my last acquisition is the same as the carrot yarn, just a different color. This is the sand version of that, and I got 4 skeins, so I think that will be enough to do a full sweater. So once again, I haven't swatched. I need to do that to confirm that this idea like truly will work, but I think I'm gonna do the Thrompet sweater, I think is how you say it, by it was a sweater designed for Woolfolk for their one of their sport weight yarns, and it's just like an oversized raglan. I think I might omit the cables that they use and more of just use this for the shape because it's just fun, like a fun oversized raglan with long ribbing and things like that. So really love the pattern. I think it would be really pretty for spring, but yeah, I may just leave out the cables so it's a little bit more basic. It is funny, in the pop-up, this yarn looked like
a very true beige.
Yeah, like true beige. Like like almost white, but a little bit of cream to it. And in this lighting, it almost looks a little lavender.
It's definitely cooler.
It's cooler than I thought it was. So,
it's still very pretty.
Yeah, I think I probably should have taken this one outside to natural light to really confirm what it was. It's still beautiful. I'm not mad about it. It's just like different than I thought. Like I thought I was buying, yeah, just like a very neutral beige. And it's more of like a cool, almost lavender color.
But very pretty.
But very pretty. It'll still be good for spring. Like maybe I need to knit this one up to get me excited about spring knits because I'm just not there yet. But maybe this will get me in that like mindset.
We are into March. I feel like April is going to be spring.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk a little bit about sewing stuff?
Sure.
So I didn't bring them out today, but I'll insert a video of myself wearing them. I finished the Bisque Trousers by Vivian Cho Chan. I think is how you say her name. I hope so. I'll put it on the screen too. And I love them so much. I made them in Blackbird fabric in a canvas material. It took like 2.5 yards, I think, so it wasn't a terrible price point. I feel like I didn't spend a lot on that sewing project because fabric can add up. But I love the fit so much. I think they're gonna pair well with a lot of different things, and I want to make them in like a lighter linen just to see how they would work up in a different fabric. But I love them. The pockets were very difficult. I did not have a good time with that, and I think if I was to do it again, I would again struggle. Obviously I did it, so we can make it through, but I think even after having done it, I would still have to sit down and really think about it again.
I think you were watching a YouTube video when you were over at my house the other day trying to like figure out how to do the pockets, and the person who was doing the video said something along the lines of, the pattern instructions are really well written and they're very clear, but that doesn't mean that it's easy. Like just because the instructions are clear doesn't mean it's easy to conceptualize.
Yes, that is accurate.
Yeah.
But now that I've done it, I'm very happy to have them in my closet. They're only my second sewing project that I finished this year, but I would say they are a win, so I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. I have some fabric that I've been holding on to for a while that I just haven't known what to do with, and I think I'm gonna make the Bisque Trousers now that you've made them.
Yeah.
But I need you to come over and talk me through the pockets, because
I can't. I'll try.
You've at least done it once.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you've also finished something so nice.
So I made a second Clara dress by Silver Saga Patterns. I made my first one in just like a solid oatmeal linen, which we talked about last time, but then I loved that pattern so much I really wanted to make a second one in gingham. So I used 100% linen from Merchant and Mills. I believe the color was called Miss Lewis, which is like a stone color combined with black to make this like fun gingham color. And then I saw that Rosary Apparel made the same pattern, and she added bows to the front to kind of mimic a Damson Matter pattern that she really liked, which is like I say pattern, it was like a ready-to-wear dress that she really liked and thought she could recreate. And I had the exact same thought. I was like, oh, if she could do it, I could do it. So I added some bows to the front as well, which I think makes it really cute. I didn't secure the bows on very well just because I wasn't 100% convinced as I was putting them on that I would like them. I was like, okay, we'll just see how this goes and see if it's the vibe. But I think it is the vibe. I think I do want to keep the bows on, so I need to go and reinforce them so they're a little more secure, because right now they're tacked on well enough that they're gonna stay, but if someone like came and tugged on them, they could probably get them off pretty easily, so I need to fix that. But I do think it's just a cute, fun dress. I'm hoping that we have some more warm days soon where I can like go out and wear it. I do kind of wish I'd made it slightly longer. I think it's ever so slightly shorter than the like oatmeal linen version that I made, just because since it has the gingham, I wanted the bottom of the gingham to be like a row of that black solid. Yes. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I feel like when you're working with gingham, you know, you gotta try to match them a little bit better. And because I was trying to do that, I think I lost a little bit more length than I did on this one than I was hoping to. So I do kind of wish I'd made it a little bit longer. I also forgot what a pain it is to cut out the gingham fabric, because I feel like for most fabrics, you know, you can just like fold, like, you know, fold the fabric over and then cut your pattern pieces on the fold. But with gingham, I was scared to do that because I didn't want it to get like off kilter when I folded it. So I cut out all the pieces flat. Like I had my fabric flat, and then I would like put one side of the pattern, and then I would like flip it and cut out the second side of the pattern. So it took so long.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
And I kind of forgot that was a thing. So I love gingham, but I need to keep that in mind going forward. I don't work with it too often, or I haven't so far. And I just feel like there's a whole lot of additional considerations to think about. But yeah, overall, pretty happy with it. I thought it was a cute, fun little dress, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I love it. I love how it turned out.
Yeah.
I think lastly, we will end by putting in some clips and footage of the retreat. We were really excited to get to be a part of that this year. A lot of people came out, and it was just fun to see and meet a lot of knitters and be a part of the community around the Kansas City area for knitting, and then meet a couple of other people like Andrea from the Knitting PT. So
just for some kind of context as to how the weekend was structured, on Friday we had dinner with all of the participants who were staying the night, which was really fun. And then Andrea from the Knitting PT gave a short little speech about kind of her maker journey. We got to talk for a little bit as well about our journey and kind of why we started podcasting. And then Rochelle from Moondrake Fibers shared her story of how she started dyeing. So that was really fun to hear. They were just wonderful presenters, really fun to like hear their stories. And then Saturday morning started bright and early at 9 o'clock. So we got to go shop, and that's when we purchased the yarn that we just talked about. We did get a sneak peek on Friday, but I needed to like process and think about what I wanted, so we went back that night.
I did buy this stuff on Friday, but then I went back for the red.
Yeah. So made sure that we were like truly happy with it. So we got to shop a little bit on Saturday morning, and then we did some chair yoga, which was pretty fun. The whole like story or theme behind the weekend was taking care of your maker body so you can continue to make longer. That was a really good theme and just consideration for the weekend. So we did some chair yoga, which was really fun, and then Andrea gave a talk about like all sorts of tips and tricks for how to make sure that you're taking care of your body, and like making sure that the way that you're holding your needles and things like that aren't causing additional stress on your wrists and things like that, so you can continue to make longer. And there were some other sessions as well, so we'll put in some footage like while we're talking. There was a session about like taking care of your space and how to store your yarn, and there were a lot of different opinions about how people should take care of their yarn, which is very interesting. People would be ashamed if they saw how I store my yarn, because I just keep it in baskets next to my couch.
Yeah, your stash is not huge, though. You really do go through it.
I don't tend to let things sit for too long. I do tend to use my yarn, and then a lot of my leftovers and stuff I don't really hold on to. I like donate to your classroom because I know your kiddos.
We do leave it in my room. It's so fun.
Yeah. So thankfully it's not sitting there too long, but yeah, everyone was talking about how like they're nice setups of how they keep their yarn and stuff, and I was just like, oh, maybe I should work on that.
Yeah. While we were there, we also had the chance to sit down and talk to Andrea from the Knitting PT and Tammy Garrison, who owns Unwind and was really the person behind this retreat. So we wanted to share a little bit about their experiences and what they had to say about the weekend.
The retreat took place in kind of like an office-like building. There was a hotel really close by that we stayed at, which was in walking distance, and that was absolutely perfect. And the space that the retreat was in was just absolutely perfect for like presentations. There was a lot of space for people to spread out and work on stuff, but maybe not the most conducive for shooting a podcast. So the light and sound may not be 100% perfect, but we wanted to insert it to kind of get their perspectives and show some of the things that we talked about. This is Andrea with the Knitting PT, so I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Andrea. I'm the Knitting PT on Instagram. I have a YouTube podcast channel, whatever too. I'm an orthopedic physical therapist. I give makers self-care tips and ergonomic information for makers to really take care of their bodies.
And you're from New Jersey?
Yeah, I'm from New Jersey.
So you came in just for this weekend?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us what you're wearing?
I am wearing, this is the Salty Air sweater by Samantha Guerin. It's releasing soon. Yeah, and it's a really beautiful lace sweater. It's got a small raglan at the end, but yeah.
Well, yesterday you gave like a lecture sort of going through like some of the pitfalls of, is it ergonomics? You give those a lot. Is there anything that like frequently comes up or anything that, you know, is like a really big topic that you think everyone should really have a good understanding of?
I think the main one is understanding that wrist motion is very important, and that wrist motion affects like how your forearm feels and how your elbow feels. Like I think that's the big thing that a lot of people, if you don't have an anatomy background, you wouldn't know that. And not that I would expect people to know that, but I think that can help your understanding of your posture a lot more when you understand that like a lot of what goes on your elbow and your forearm is actually connected to what your wrist is doing when you're crafting.
Yeah, I feel like something you did yesterday that was so helpful was just helping and having tools for like how to become aware of what you're doing, because you pointed out things that I was like, I don't think I ever would have realized that on my own. So I thought it was very helpful if anybody needs that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, self-awareness is like really important, and something I've been trying to like really push a lot, because it's just like a lot of what I teach is also based on my own experience too. And you know, I've had those moments where I walk past the mirror and I'm like, oh my gosh, I hunched over and I didn't realize it. I'm like, I gotta keep like looking in a mirror more to make sure like I'm up straight and to help my body learn what that feels like. So yeah, I'm trying to push that and to help people learn that too. I think my favorite part is always when everyone gets up and does the exercises together and they can experience things and kind of like feel their bodies. I think actually one of the highlights, it's funny because every time I teach this class or lecture, there's like different highlights that come up depending on the group of people. But I think my favorite one was when we did the exercise where we were closing our eyes and kind of assessing our bodies and how it felt. And I loved hearing what people said that they discovered about how they were sitting in the moment. That was the first time I've actually I've asked people to volunteer what they learned. Usually like I just let people like, you know, keep it in their heads or whatever, but it was such a fun and open group that I was like, I think they would be comfortable like just sharing, like throwing out, and it was really fun to hear that feedback, to hear people saying like, oh yeah, I'm discovering something with myself, and that's like really exciting to me when people learn about themselves. Yeah.
Several people were like, oh, I'm leaning, or you know, I'm really tense, and yeah. That was a good exercise. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This retreat was really so much fun. The group here is so fun. Like Unwind staff is amazing, and it's just like such a good group. Yeah. Good.
Well, we're sitting down with Tammy, who's the owner of Unwind and the host of this weekend's retreat. So we thought she could provide a little bit of background about how these retreats got started and how you picked the theme for this particular weekend.
Yeah, sure. So Unwind opened in 2019, March of 2019, so this is our 5th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. It's very fun, but especially with all we've been through the last 5 years, right? Yeah, we're still standing. But we decided that we wanted to take advantage, honestly, of some of the amenities of Lee Summit. And there was the historic Browning is a bed and breakfast in downtown Lee Summit, and we had a Leap Day retreat. Leap Day happened to be on a Saturday in 2020. So as we were going into ending our first full year, we thought that would be a great way to kind of kick that off and celebrate our first full year. So we had a Leap Day retreat that was really popular and was a great success, and a lot of fun, had great energy, great momentum coming out of it. And 3 weeks later, we were in lockdown and shut down, and I was selling yarn off my dining room table. So, but it was there was such a great response, both from the community, the people that attended, and frankly, I really enjoyed doing it. And also to loop in local businesses. It was definitely something I thought, once we're back to normal, I want to resume that. And so once we were able to do it safely, we resumed them with like small group things, people, sessions, and then expanded back again into the open retreats. And we had 25 people, I think. I think we had 25 people at the Elite Day retreat. I think we had about 25 the following year, and the next year it grew to 30, and we really outgrew the Browning space, so had to look for something bigger. Last summer we test ran one at Unity Village here and had around 50 people. And that's about what we have done with this year's retreat as well. And I do try to pick a different theme for each one of the retreats, have a different, knitterati guest, or 2 or 3 or 4 as it is. And so that we can bring people who are known within the larger maker community to the Kansas City metro area and connect our community with them. And that has been really successful too.
Yeah, it's been wonderful having Rochelle and Andrea this time.
Yeah, and you get to know them as people and not just, an Instagram box, right?
Yes.
Or a podcast or a YouTube video. Yeah, it really is a great way to connect with that larger community.
Yeah, and it's felt small enough you can talk to everybody, but also big enough you feel like you've really met a lot of people and made some connections,
energy,
some
right?
friends.
Yeah. And then what's been unique this year's retreat, the theme was caring for your maker body and soul. And some of it, honestly, was a little bit selfish in that I have some issues with my hands and my wrists. But when I'm in the shop, I hear other people sitting at our table, talking about their hands, talking about their wrists, and just noticing, we sit a lot, we do a lot of things, this is a repetitive motion activity that we're involved in, and that lends itself to either injury, hopefully not, but at least overuse and some aches and pains. So just finding a way to support ourselves as makers so that we can do what we love to do in a healthy, holistic, sustainable way, and thus do it for a much longer time, right? Yeah. To keep doing what we're doing and doing it in a way that really supports us completely. And along with that, I also just happened to go through yoga teacher training last fall, so it seemed like, again, there was a real hand in glove feel to it all.
For this particular weekend, was there anything that stood out that made it different than other retreats, or just a highlight of this weekend for you?
Yeah, I think I loved bringing the yoga aspect into it, and it was interesting. Yesterday we had 2 chair yoga sessions, and then today I have a little bit of yoga glow going on, but I taught a mat class this morning. But with the chair classes yesterday, to be able to introduce that to people who would not normally take yoga, and to have them participate in it and benefit from it, and then to see them go, wow, that was really helpful. I could see how this could be beneficial to me, and I can do it anywhere, which is the great thing about chair yoga. And so to be able to do that was really a special thrill. And then just, I love the energy. I love the vibe of that always comes about in these retreats, just bringing everyone together. Frequently people, and they, they'll get their little retreat groups together that they always want to see one another, but then they connect with other people as well. And one of the things that was so great about this one is we had 2 people who came in from out of town who are not, a part of our local community at all. They met us through your podcast, so that was awesome. Shout out to Rachel and Jenny. But that was really great. So to take these other people who have connected through your community, and you are connected to our community, and then introduce them into just expanding that community, it's the best. Yeah. So
it's special.
It's special, yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you for sitting down.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure.
And for hosting this amazing event that's happening this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. And I will say, though, our next year's retreat has already been planned.
We're excited.
Yes.
Get a sneak peek.
Absolutely. I will give you a little sneak peek. It will be the first full weekend of March. I think it's the 5th through the 7th. I can't remember the exact dates. It's whatever that first full weekend of March is. It will be back here at Unity Village, and we have a superstar guest coming in. So, and the theme roughly is color, and we'll get a little bit more specific as we get closer in time. we'll hopefully also be adding an additional guest or two. I like to have 2 or 3. I think that just kind of contributes to the energy and the vibe. But we definitely have someone very special coming in next year. So stay tuned for the details. Yeah.
Okay, we'll start planning our color work.
Yeah. Exactly right. Yeah, exactly. That's a good idea. Very good.
Thank you so much.
So if you've made it this far, thank you so much for joining us today. We always love hearing about what you're working on, if you've tried any of the patterns or yarns that we're talking about, or whatever is inspiring you right now. So we appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, thank you so much.